Normalized formula. What? Celebrity mom. Controversial statement. Let's talk about it.
Hey everybody, it is so good to see y'all. I am so excited about our topic this evening, and I'm excited because we have a special guest on the couch. So I have actually worked with this fabulous lady, Teresa Ortiz, on the couch with us this evening. And Teresa Ortiz is a board certified nurse practitioner for the last 25 years. I actually have nicknamed her the Pied Piper. And anyone who knows her in East LA knows why she's a Pied Piper for women's health because women follow her everywhere. And so I am so happy to have her on the couch with us. She is a lactation consultant for the last 13 years who's going to help us to answer this one question. So let me share with you guys what happened. You may have heard about it, you may not have heard about it, but we're going to talk about it this evening. So one of our a very famous celebrity who was an influencer, has her own brand, made some very controversial statements recently, and I'm going to read it to y'all. And so the statement first started out by saying, "We're not going to mention the people because we talk about the problem and not the people." But I'm going to tell you what she said. And what she said was, "Okay, I'm going to say something, and you all are definitely going to make it a thing. But here goes: normalized formula." She then continued to say, "Normalized breastfeeding is such a huge, wonderful thing, but I absolutely felt way more shame having to use formula because of lack of breast milk from depression and whatnot." She then continued on to say, um, "People have surrogates, people have trouble breastfeeding, and all you hear as a new anxious mom is how breast is best. Normalized breastfeeding is great. Normalized formula is great too." Whoo, we gonna talk about that. All right, team. We're gonna talk about it. And this evening, just to rapidly introduce everyone, we have our mental health providers on this side. We have Chastity on the top, and we have Eunice on the bottom. And then on this side, we have Karen, our wonderful, what a touch perinatal massage therapist. We have our midwife Olivia, and right in the middle is the Caribbean, come on, girl, physical therapist Dr. Joe. So I'm so happy to have everyone this evening, and we are going to talk about this topic. So, what do you guys think? That's a pretty. She got a lot of heat for that topic, right? She got a lot of heat for that statement. Do we really need to normalize formula? Are we putting too much pressure on moms? What we're gonna tap into our guests first. Teresa, what you think?
I basically think that she had some very good words with her comment. There's this impression that everybody that has a baby should be able to snap on, and the baby comes on, and everything's fine and dandy, and everything's wonderful, and it's not so. It really is not so. I've seen it. I've been part of it. I've seen how women struggle, and I think that before one of my interventions was that when I did prenatal care, I started talking about breastfeeding since the first initial visit that I had with the patient, because it takes a whole village to help a mom breastfeed. And it is important. I know I'm one of the first, I breastfed all my children. I'm one of the first believers that breast milk is the number one and best. But
Mm-hmm.
there are many medical conditions. There's many situations, and also emotional stability of the mom, and a critical lack of support system for the new mother that does not allow her to succeed. And I have seen that within the first week or so, many women give up, even when they've been through the counseling, the initiation, the cheerleading, because it's very difficult. I just called my niece who had a baby. She had so
Mm-hmm.
much IV fluid. She's swollen in Mexico. She's so swollen, her nipples are flat, and she can't get the baby latched on. And so I do believe that that we need to be open-minded to all situations. And even when breastfeeding was the thing, they had wet nurses because not everybody could breastfeed. So when I became a breastfeeding consultant, initially I was all gung ho, and I said everybody that I that I counsel, everybody I support, everybody's gonna breastfeed, and that is not. That's all I can say for now. If anybody has any other comments, but I believe that there's various factors, and we need to continue to work towards that. I do believe that there's sometimes a need for formula. Not all hospitals have human milk, to support the mom on her first days at the hospital. So I know that there a pediatrician that you and I both know, Dr. Calderon, had a nutritional support expert that came in. She was advocating for a weight formula for newborn babies, and I think that it takes all of us to come together and help, and not make the woman feel guilty, because I hear what you say with the comment that she made, that
Mm-hmm.
she felt like maybe not everybody's gonna like what I say, but this is what it is. Did anybody watch, what was it? Is it the Golden Globes and the commercial that was presented about breastfeeding?
I did not see it. I did not see the commercials. I did watch the Golden Globes, but I tend to
Mhm.
mute commercials.
Did
So
did any of you see it? I saw
I
it and I was, oh my God, I was amazed. And I said, oh my God, I'm so glad that they are showing this, because it was actual mothers struggling to put the baby to the breast.
Oh, I did
It,
see that on social media. I did not know that it aired during the Golden Globes. I didn't realize where it came from. I think it's amazing. We're actually going to feature it on our account. I hear you, Teresa, with the fact that I do think we do put pressure on women on both ends, pressure to breastfeed and pressure not to use formula. But I do think that it says something different when you say normalize formula. What do you guys think? We have a couple of moms on the couch this evening.
I agree.
just,
I agree with it. It says something else. Because and the thing is, I think that it's based on the exposure within different communities. So um the question as to what community she claims that she runs with rocks with, I'm not going to even touch. But I do know that in a lot of cases, um you don't get as much support for it in the poorer communities. Or there wasn't as much support for breastfeeding in the poorer communities. It was like an instant, you get formula and you just kind of go with that. That was offered instantly, as opposed to getting a lactation consultant to see if they can help you to do any of the breastfeeding, to see if that was something that you wanted to do. And I do know, and I know personally how much of a challenge it is. I wasn't able to go past 3 months because my son wouldn't latch. And I did seek out lactation consulting help, and it helped to some extent, but there was just whatever it was with him, he just was not trying to take the breast. So I was able to pump and give him some breast and then formula, and eventually went straight to formula. But there is a lot of pressure, yes. And there's a lot of pushback in any which one. So I've kind of adopted the fed is best. So whatever way you're going to feed the babies, how you feed it. But like in the past 2 or 3 decades, I feel like it's just been much more of an automatic. You in the lower, like I said, in low income communities, you have a baby and here's the formula, because the expectation is you're not going to breastfeed.
Right, right.
Is it
Oh,
because of
I,
that, or is that
oh,
because of the socioeconomic status of those who are in poor neighborhoods? Like, you may not be able to breastfeed because you got to go back to work. So is
right.
it that
exactly.
you don't want to, or is it that the possibility is that 9 times out of 10 you got to go to work and the work isn't set up for you
Yeah.
to pump at?
So should we be normalizing formula?
I don't think so. I think the reason we're in this extreme, human beings, we tend to go from extremes. The problem is that formula was normalized. Formula was touted as better than human milk, better
Mhm.
than, right? It's the history of women's health and women's bodies. It was all of a sudden men knew better. All of a sudden birth was better over here, dictated by men. All of a sudden even the way we feed our babies was better, dictated by men. And so then the pendulum has swung the other way, trying to empower women, trying to educate women. But unfortunately, what happens is that they're two extremes. And what you hope is that it comes back to the middle. And I think that's what she was trying to say. I think she was just doing a counter, right? Like normalize
Mhm.
breastfeeding. Well, why don't we normalize formula? I don't think she really meant like normalize it, but I think what it is that now you have unintended consequences of, like you said, what about all these women who feel like failures? What about all these women who are struggling with money, work, postpartum depression, whatever it is? And now you have, like, on top of you, like, if I don't breastfeed my baby, I'm not a good mom. If this, that, and the other, and it adds. I struggled to breastfeed mine, and the only reason, my daughter, I breastfed for 4 months with formula the entire time, and my son for 6 with formula the entire time. And the only reason, I'm a midwife, and I remember really being hard on myself, and I had really bad postpartum depression. And my mother, who breastfed all of us easily, and everybody in my family, she said to me, she's like, listen, you feed your baby the way you need to feed your baby. Okay. Like, no pressure, no whatever. You want to breastfeed, we're going to do everything we can to breastfeed. And if she needs formula, she needs formula. And that gave me permission to move on from that. But yeah, the unintended consequence is that women are feeling alienated. And now we need to come back to the middle and figure out a better way that we can campaign to empower women,
Mhm.
educate women, and let women realize that they have options. Because the goal at the
Right.
end of the day is to get these babies fed and to
Good.
empower
Mhm.
women to know that
Yeah.
Mhm.
you have choices.
Yeah,
Yes.
I also
Great
think
point.
that there, like I said, there are various factors for a woman to fail with breastfeeding, but it's really important also to know that the society was not, it's not up to, yet to the level of seeing women breastfeeding. So I was so happy when I saw that commercial, even though it looked like everybody was failing to get on the breast, but at
Mhm.
least it's a reality nowadays, Secondly, physiologically, we know that breastfeeding, even the first 5 days, the colostrum is so important for protection of the baby. So we try to encourage the moms, except that given the circumstances, what kind of labor did they have? Did they struggle? Did
Mhm.
a fluid overload? Did they get an epidural? Did they get a cesarean section so they're having pain? They can't even sit down to breastfeed. A lot of those factors are not going to help. And I actually did my graduate degree project on breastfeeding because I did exactly what some of you said. I called different areas in the South Central, East LA, and Southeast to find out if there was any lactation. There were absolutely no lactation centers to start.
Wow.
You would have them in Pasadena, Beverly Hills, San Gabriel Valley, but way in the community, we're just barely beginning. I think I was one of the first ones that had a breastfeeding center. Women did, they have WIC, and
Mhm.
please, I really admire those people. I see their commitment, but it
Mhm.
was just so much of the need. There was not enough to provide. So I think that there's a lot of factors. I think we're moving forward. I see more women breastfeeding. I've seen women breastfeeding in the bathroom, which I was really totally appalled, and I was so upset because,
Wow.
how can you go to the bathroom in a nice place, Cheesecake Factory in South Pasadena, and that woman didn't feel comfortable breastfeeding? I've had patients tell me that people look at them in a dirty way. That why are you feeding your baby? The baby has to eat,
Right.
you
And
know.
I like that you said that. Like, people don't really look at breastfeeding as food. And I wonder
Mhm.
sometimes when people make certain statements, if they replace it with food and hunger, if their mindset will be different. So you
Mhm.
asking me to go feed my child food, my child who's hungry, food in the bathroom. See, it has a
Mhm.
different mindset than if you say breastfeeding. We still have to change our culture and our wording so that people really understand that it's food and hunger. That's what we're dealing with.
Mhm. I actually grew up in Mexico in my first 10, 11 years. And I remember seeing people in the street, women sitting outside their house, feeding their baby, no problem, no, nothing covering. The baby was on the breast, and that was a natural thing. I see the little indigenous people with the little, wraps, the little rebosos, and a little baby hanging on the side and latched onto the breast. It was normal. It was
Right.
considered completely normal. And here, it's breasts are so sexualized that when they see women exposing the breast to feed their baby, oh my God, so we're doing baby steps towards moving up
Hmm.
to breastfeeding. And I hope that someday I live up to see that we actually make it a culture that it's it's a common situation like I saw in Mexico growing up. I remember my mom sitting down breastfeeding my siblings, and I get my little doll and be breastfeeding my
Right.
dolls.
Right.
Nothing wrong. It was like a normal thing. It was like doing dishes or cooking in the little toy store stove. But here it's completely separated. It's
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
separated from. from the, the common necessity of life.
Right.
We love that you are a part of our community, and we want you to continue to be a part of our community. So go ahead and do what? Like the videos, hit notification, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys.